Hey everybody, and welcome to a new video format we're going to call Blame Billy. So, you know Billy Walton. So he's been on the channel saying, you started doing those videos where you just like beat up on random unrated beginners or whatever, we're not logged in. He says, I kind of miss those. And I said, all right, I'll do it for you. And he says, thank you very much. Anyway, so if you hate this, then blame Bill. Okay, so I'm going to play beginner game as a guest, and we're going to do. Let's do a 15 plus 10. Let's like sink our teeth into this and do it properly. We're not going to mess around. Okay, I've got the white pieces. I'm going to play a D4 opening, and we'll see what our opponent does. So where are we? We're in the opening phase of the game, and the point is to control the center. Now, the Horvitz defense. I don't really know much about this. This is the center, okay? Black here is controlling one square in the center. I am also controlling one square in the center, in this way, okay? I'm also opened up my bishop. He's also opened up his queen and his bishop. So basic rule, let's control more of the center. There's nothing really to discuss about this. If he plays d5 now, we'd actually find ourselves in a French, and we are actually technically in a French defense now. But you see, he's moved 2 pawns, but he's only controlling squares in his own half of the board, right? The only squares he's controlling in my half of the board are this one with his queen and these 2 with his bishop, which isn't fantastic. I, however, am controlling 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them. And with my bishop, I'm controlling these, and with my queen, I'm controlling that. Okay, so what's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares in his half of the board. Now, that doesn't mean everything, of course, because we're not done yet. Another thing I notice of what he's done is he's moved 2 pawns a square forward off of black squares. Another thing is this kind of Caro-Kann style move doesn't help his bishop to develop. Okay, so. Opening phase of the game, minor pieces before big pieces, generally knights before bishops. Let's develop a knight. I don't see any big threat. This bishop is in particular no threat at all. Everything's in its way. Okay, now look at this. 5, 6 out of his 8 pawns are now on light squares. What that does, it makes this guy like really free to move around. My dark squared bishop can access nearly all the board, whereas my light squared bishop, this guy, is a lot more constrained over what he can do right now. But the thing you have to remember about bishops is that bishops' fortunes change over time. So I want to get my king to safety, so I'm going to move my light squared bishop. Now, it hasn't got anywhere really exotic to go right now. It can't go here, it can't go here. So I just stick on e2. I'm going to get my king to safety. Right, opponent has now moved 3 pawns, okay? And still this light squared bishop here doesn't have great prospects either. It's going to need another pawn to move for that bishop to play any kind of active role in this game. Because he's stuck all his junk on light squares. He's built up this big light squared structure with his pawns. Whereas what I'm doing is I'm trying to get my pieces out, and I've moved the 2 required pawns. You have to move 2 pawns, right? To get this bishop out, you have to move either this guy or this guy. To get this bishop out from F to F1, you have to move either this guy or this guy. We have done that, right? This one has gone here, this one has gone here. That means that both bishops are now free to move around the cabin. Okay, we have queen a5 check, right? First thing to do is to say, well, okay, it's a check. You just calmly and dispassionately say what you see. See what you see. See what you see on the board. Right? Now, is this a good check? Right? Is black following opening principles? Right, what are the opening principles? Get your minor pieces out into the board. Right, he hasn't moved one of them. Control the center. Well, he's controlling this square twice. So he's done a poor job on that so far as well. Another general principle is don't move your queen out into the board too early. There are a couple of things I can do here, right? I could play, for example, knight c3 and block the check. That, however, walks into pawn to b4, which point I have to move my knight, as it'll be under attack. And it hasn't got a very good forward square at all. It would have to go all the way home. Then this pawn could go here, and then I could maybe push my pawn. But why not just play bishop d2, right? Now, I notice that that undefends this pawn, but the queen can't attack the pawn. The queen can't go here and attack it, and she can't go here and attack it either. So it's bye-bye queen. She can go to a4, a6, or back along this diagonal. So, if you look at it now, right, here, it's black to move, right? Black has the initiative to some degree. Black plays the queen out, I do this, now it's black to move, and black has to run away with the queen. Or, this, right? Is this good? Well, not really, because now c3, and now you have to move your bishop, right? And when that bishop moves back to one of these squares, oops, right? It's me to move, so I have the initiative. So that attack with the bishop, with a follow-up attack, attack with the queen with a follow-up by the bishop, actually lost black time, because what black didn't consider was, I have a very simple and obvious counter threat that is tempo gaining, it's time gaining. All right, now if I wanted to, I could even push pawn to e5. Now I don't think I want to do that, and I'll tell you for why. Right? I've moved 3 pawns already. I want to continue with my development, okay? So I think I'm just going to castle my king. Do I consider this a threat? No, because my knight is in its natural square, which naturally defends h2. I also have this as well, which comes with a discovered attack on the queen. And I can pull that out at any point. But it's a really good habit to get into. When you notice something like that, just slip it in your pocket, pretend you haven't noticed, and pull it out later and go, ha-ha! Often in combination with something else. So, for example, if I could move this pawn with some kind of threat. Okay, now we have an immediate tactical issue here. Right, you look at your opponent's last move, you look for patterns. Everybody above 600, 500 now should see a typical issue here, right? The knight has just moved to this square. 2 squares to his left, we have a bishop. Okay, walk straight into the pawn fork. Now, if I do this, the knight can come in here to this square for free, right? If you imagine, right? And is that an issue? No, I just take the bishop. If you're from here, you could take my bishop. I'll take back with queen up. So this is absolutely fine. I can do that. Move 8, guys. Look, I've got my king safe. I've nearly got all my stuff off the back rank. This knight's a bit impeded. But I could move my bishop out here. I could stick my knight on d2, I can bring my queen out, somewhere nice. Notice now that I have this big dark squared pawn check. Okay, he's done that. I'm going to take the bishop. Are you going to capture my bishop out of spite? If you do, you're actually doing me a favour. Because that bishop's actually in everyone's way. I was just telling you that I had this dark squared pawn chain. And what do we know about dark squared pawn chains? They're not very compatible with dark squared bishops, but the light squared bishops think they're great. Okay, he's run away. However, he's also on an undefended square, and for that reason I'm going to come after him. I get to move my bishop out of the way of this knight, because this knight wants to come to d2, maybe then to there and hit the queen, maybe then to there. That's a nice square, you know, just thinking down the line, possibilities. Right? This knight is moved to an unprotected square, therefore I can move my bishop. And now, it's not like this is a winning move by any stretch, right? I'm a piece up. But what I've done is so he grabbed the pawn back. What I've done is I've made black have to do something. Right? I've really narrowed down my opponent's options on the next move. Yeah? So what he's done is he's come in here. Now, I could trade off my light square bishop for this knight. The issue is that the knight is looking here. Right? And what do we do about that? Well, there's a few things, right? I could move my queen here and defend b2. I can't move my queen here because the knight takes her. Not good. I could push b2 to b3 and hit the knight. That's interesting. Now if the knight comes here, it's attacking my queen, but then I just move my queen and attack the knight again. And the knight's then trapped. Right? So one thing I really want everybody, if you're like a beginner, if you're sub 1000, get into the habit of thinking of the less obvious moves. The more that you can do this, the more your chess will improve, promise you. It's like, what is chess? Chess is about choosing moves, right? You get a go, opponent gets a go, you get a go, continue until somebody wins or it's a draw, right? So it's all about the quality of the moves. Now, the more moves that you consider, the more chance you've got of finding a really good one. So let's think about pawn to b3, because that's kind of not obvious. You know, I'm just priding myself on building this dark square pawn chain, but you've got to be flexible, right? I do this. Knight can't come here because pawn takes. Okay, so I've got pawn here. So that's out, because that's attacked 3 times. That's out, because probably knight takes, I reckon. He could come there. Kind of attacking my knight. But that kind of puts him out of action as well. And then the question is it worth it? Or do I take him out? But then this pawn captures towards the centre of the board. Which might slightly improve it. Plus I've got rid of my better bishop right now. Remember, bishops change fortunes. Or there's the option of just moving the queen. So I could like play queen c2. I think that's absolutely fine as well. I'm just now sanity checking the move. Okay, I'm going to play queen c2. Because every pawn move is kind of committal, if you think about it. Pawns can't move backwards. So people like to think that pawn moves are cheap moves. They're not cheap moves. They are fundamental moves. They change the playing area in a way that can never be undone. Pieces can move backwards and forwards, right? Pawns can't do that. So for that reason, I'm thinking, right, I need a really jolly good reason to move that pawn forward. Is it a good enough reason? Because I thought about, okay, if I do this and he puts his knight there, am I going to trade knights on that? I don't know. Oh, look at this, boys and girls. We've got another pawn on a light square. Black is now hoping to castle. And one big difference between beginners and more experienced players is that the more experience you get, the greater the proportion of the time that you spend deciding on your moves is about constraining your opponent's ideas, frustrating your opponent, and trying to make him cry. Okay, so for this reason, I'm thinking about the move b3. Okay, he comes here, I take him out, queen comes in here. Hang on. Queen comes here, queen's there, and then I can't play this move. This is the move I'm wanting to play. d6, but I can't play it right now because of that, yeah? The reason I want to put my bishop here is to stop the king from castling through check. Bishop controls the f8 square, king can't castle. I don't want the king to castle. I want that king out in the middle of the board, and I want that rook there, not out in the middle of the board where it can cause trouble. I want him safely stuck in his corner like the other rook. Now, the question is how to do this. I could actually just take out the knight. That, for purposes of simplicity, is what I'm going to do. Opponent has a huge light squared, this big kind of fan of pawns on light squares means that this bishop does not enjoy the freedom of the city unless this, but then like g6. So I'm trading off. I'm going to put my bishop there after pawn recaptures. Yeah, my knight can now come into the game, looking pretty good, you know. And then we think about operation attack the king. Again, you can see I'm sanity checking. I'm just looking. You know, just those one move threats. Is there for, you know, can the queen move with check and win the, you know. The bishop's currently unprotected on that square. This is also a move, by the way, attacking this pawn. But I like the fact that we're preventing that. Okay, where are you going? You can go there. You can't go here or here because pawn's guard. I'm thinking knight b to d2, right? This move, by the way, if you just say knight d2, it's ambiguous because there's two knights that can go to d2. So this move is knight b to d2. This move is knight f d2, nf d2 in notation. So I'm going to do that. I'm attacking this pawn that's currently undefended. It's also doubled. And it's effectively isolated because the only pawn that could defend it is currently blocked off by my bishop. So that's kind of nice. And now my knights are really looking to come in. And knights get stronger and stronger as they move up the board into your opponent's territory. Particularly if your opponent's king is stuck in the middle of the board because he hasn't castled. Why hasn't he castled? Well, we'll go back and look at that in a bit, but it's got something to do with making a lot of silly pawn moves. Okay, so here comes the queen, annoying my bishop. Now I've got this move, attacking this pawn. Also defends the bishop, also extra defends this pawn, which is now defended 3 times. He can't do this because I take that and hit the rook. And then the king is peeled open. Right? Also got ideas about b3 at some point, chip away at these pawns. Definitely ideas of centralizing my rooks. This is something that should never be off your radar. A lot of people, a lot of beginners just completely neglect this idea. Build up. Build up. You know, what did we just say? That just drops a pawn. And look at these clumsy pawns. It's a real signature of a less experienced player as they end up with messy pawns. Look at my pawns. Now, this isn't always the case. I mean, sometimes I end up with crazy games where I've got 2 pawns in the middle game or whatever, you know. It's just as a general thing. So one thing that I'm just thinking about as well is there a danger of this? Right, but no, he's put his rook there and he's lost his rook. And always be open to the possibility that your opponent is about to do something really, really dumb. Because guess what? We do it. Right? 1600s, 1500s, 1400s, 1700s do it. I mean, the highest player I've beaten is 20-something. So I can only assume they do it. And now we're actually up a full rook. Check this out. I have 2, and I have 2 minor pieces. Opponent has 1 rook left, which is, by the way, still in the corner. A bishop, which is still on its starting square because he put all his pawns on light squares and the bishop was never able to move. And a knight that's munching on grass in the wrong corner of the field. So, what do we do from this point? Well, what do we know? Strategically, opponent's king is naked and afraid. Right? Opponent has a jumble of pawns in the middle of the board and a queen who actually can't really move anywhere. She's got two safe squares she can move to. So, spotting that, one thing I would think is it possible to trap the queen? I can't really see a way to do it right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play rook fe1, okay, as opposed to rook ae1, because both rooks can move to the same square legally. And what the purpose of this is, I'm not attacking my opponent, right? I'm pointing my cannons towards his position where his flag is. What was that move? I don't know what that move was. This is actually a poor move because he's created a discovered attack on his own pawn here. And I'm going to say thank you very much. You see how his position is now just crumbling. I'm not doing anything. That was not an attacking move, right? And he thought, I can't think of anything to do, let's move a pawn, right? What I would have done in this situation, just going back here, get the bishop off there, probably get the king to safety, something like this, and try and engage this rook, right? Black has a semi-open file here on G, okay? Get your damn rook on there. Even stick the king in the corner, move the bishop. Rook on there. Something, anything. That means that this knight can't move, by the way. If there's a rook here, right, means this pawn is pinned on G2. The queen is looking at this knight. The knight is currently defended by 2 pieces. If this knight ever moved, the queen could take this knight for free if this pawn is still pinned, yeah? That's the kind of thing I'd be thinking of. But you're leaving your one of your best pieces still in the box. Ain't the way to do that. Okay, so there comes his queen. Queen wants to trade off. I'm currently +6 materials. I'm in a winning position. Do I want to trade off? I could very easily do that. I could come here and give check. I could go there and give check. Queen defends his pawn. It's attacked twice, so even if I attack it with my queen, I can't take. Here and check. My knight might come in, because my queen defends this square on, what's that, G5? Where's the king going to go? I don't know. Oh, I've got 4 minutes, by the way. Oh, we've got an increment anyway. See, always be ready for your opponent to do something dumb. Everyone's got a hidden dumbass in there. Which is why discipline really is one of the biggest things that you can do. So do I want to creep in with my knights? Oh, I notice now that this pawn is pinned. What does that mean? That attacks the queen, right? Now, you want to know a secret trick to improve your chess and improve your elo? It's called, if I do this, what's my opponent going to do? Don't tell anyone, it's a secret, right? Knight h4 hits the queen. Queen can't go there, she can't go anywhere on this file. She could go here. She could go here. But that's right out of the action. Then my queen's going to come in and cause mischief, right? She can't go there because my queen takes. She can't go there because my queen takes. She can't go there because my queen takes. She can't go there. You've heard this before, right? She could go there. Or here, or here. I'm going to do it. Now, one thing that I sometimes like to do is to move my knights like a caterpillar. You know, when the caterpillar goes, the front end moves and the back end catches up like that, right? So that keeping my knights tied or connected, right? They're on opposite colour. Oh, she's gone there. Well, well, well. Okay, so she's still defending this. I'd love to do that move. I can't do it. I can't do it. If I go here, where's the king got? Okay. So this is interesting. Right now, oh no, this pawn's defended 3 times. That's no good. I'd love to do that. I can't. Because queen takes. One option here is double the rooks. Rook e4, rook a e1. This pawn can't move. Let's do it, because this is good. This is principled stuff, right? I'm trying to teach the beginner player some good things, and doubling your rooks is so often a good thing. What? 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And blunders queen. I don't understand. Now you resign. 9 seconds. And No, you don't resign. Okay then. Now I can play this move, right? Now the principle is here. I'm creeping up the board with my knights. This comes with check, by the way, so he can't take my rook. He's got to get out of check. He's in check. He can't go there. He can't go there. Now, knowing this player, he could move anywhere. I've got a clue. But notice my rook is still hanging, right? Or en prise. So I can capture on f4. But my knight is also actually in trouble. But this pawn is pinned by the rook, so it can't take my knight. That's the point. Okay. All right, then. Alrighty. Queen here, the king can't retreat. Queen here, the king's got to go there or there. No brainer. There's got to be a mate in here somewhere. You go here, I've got knight takes there with check. I can capture. Sorry, I can capture here. I can capture here to get my rook out of trouble. And that's checkmate, isn't it? Because my knight controls this square. And checkmate. Right. Now, let's go back to the start. Now, why did that happen? Did that happen because I'm smarter than my opponent? Probably not. Let's see why it happened. Let's see why his position crumbled away. Okay, so this is probably perfectly valid. Now we've got the eval bar here. It's showing 0.1, so completely balanced, right? I grab the center. He does this. Now it's gone to 0.4. Now don't get carried away with the eval stuff. I'm just using this as a guide. But the point is, pawns all on light squares. Now, if you're going to move 2 pawns, this is valid. Levy has a whole course, Gotham Chess has a whole course on e6, b6, right, which is a kind of twist on the old French, isn't it? But the point is with e6, b6, you're moving this pawn from a light square onto a dark square. This one's gone from a dark square onto a light square, right? Then you get to fianchetto to this bishop gets out into the board, right? Notice, like we said, for this bishop here, one of these 2 pawns has to move. This pawn doesn't do that, right? So this guy is going to be stuck. And let's just, I mean, you could even just play the whole game and look at the fortunes of that bishop, right? Where are we? Move number 10. It hasn't moved, okay? Position starts to fall apart. Bishop still hasn't moved. Move number 14. And I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Right. Back in the room. Bishop still hasn't moved. Why hasn't it moved? It's got nowhere to go. You've got to let your bits out. Let them out in the board. Does it ever move? No. That bastard there and that bastard there never moved in the game. I have one rook that never moved, but it didn't need to. Right? So, bad idea. Sticking your pawns on the same colours, right? But in a way that doesn't do this. Now, you know, the London system is not the same. Your London system, you build pawns on these dark squares, but your bishop, this bishop first, before you put your pawns on these squares, right? This bishop is out in the board. Right, that's the point. Before you push e3, this bishop is outside the pawn chain. This bishop is entombed in a little mini pyramid of his own. Okay? I develop a piece, he pushes pawn to b5 for no good reason at all. So what he's not doing with that move is he's not bringing his knights out into the board, he's not bringing his bishops out into the board, he's not getting anywhere near castling, which, by the way, he never did. Now, what am I doing here? I'm getting near castling. That's what I want to do. Now he throws Queenie out and gets prodded back. This move, not great. Okay, gets beaten back again. And now he's just wasted a load of moves, right? Did he want his bishop on that square? Is that the right square for that bishop to be on? I don't know. Maybe it's good. You know, maybe he wants to double up with the queen at some point and have fun down here. I don't know. But the point is, with his rash premature attaculation, he's been kicked back And he's been pushed into moves he didn't want to do. This is a move I do want to do. Oh look, he's developed a minor piece. But he blundered at the same time. Because he walks into a pawn fork. Right, basic tactics. Okay, now it's +3 in White's favour. White is in a strong position, if not winning. Okay, I come after the knight. That's a good move. Another pawn move. No, stop it. Stop it with the pawn moves. Okay, I decide to trade off. I come in here, stop him from castling. He puts his knight out of harm's way, where it can't do any damage. Okay, still +3 for White. I'm just pottering along. He drops a pawn, drops a rook. And in a minute, as we all know, he drops a queen as well. And it's just completely all over. It's +42 now. I mean, White would have to be lobotomized not to win this game. But it all started in the beginning. It all started with that inaccuracy, that inaccurate play. Moving too many pawns, not enough pieces, not controlling the board, and just then finding yourself lost at sea, quite simply. But the point of this is not to criticise whoever guessed 6-6, 7-4, whatever it is. That's not the point. The point is for you to learn from this and for you to improve your play from seeing. It's not just saying, well, that's unprincipled, that's a bad idea, that's a bad move. The point is for you to be able to link those moves together, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy the whole PGN. I'm going to go to the analysis board on chess.com. I'm going to log in. I'm going to run this analysis. Okay, 26 moves to checkmate, right? Let's look at the review. How did I play? 89 accuracy. That's pretty good for me. That's pretty good. 0 mistakes, 0 misses, 0 blunders. Happy days. I played like a 2000. Opponent played like a 1300. Nah, he didn't. It was an incredible middle game by both players. No, it wasn't. 66 accuracy, yeah. So what you can do now, I'm going to go to analysis. I'm going to save it, right? And I will provide the link to this so that you can go over this. And it's almost like pick any piece and play through the game and look at the journey that piece takes in the game. And you'll really then start to appreciate the why. Why do we say... So already inaccurate, right? Why d5? Why is d5 best? Well, d5 is contesting the center. It's opening up your side of the board, right? His side of the board is already cramped, particularly that poor bishop. And this knight also can't get out to its natural square. Remember, this knight ended up here? You know? No. Why is it inaccurate? Again, d5 is best. Why d5? It's all about the centre at the start of the game, you know? So go through it. Feel free to go through it to your heart's content. It's only 26 moves. But yeah, all I did was follow principles. All I did was read what's on the board. And there was nothing, there's nothing fancy there. I didn't go 4 moves deep in calculation. It's beyond my capability. You know, I can't be bothered, right? But you can get above 1,000. You can get to 1,500 using good principled play. And just being very careful about what you read on the board, what you see. Wait for your opponent to screw up. He will. Take advantage when he does. Simple as that. Okay. Please let me know in the comments, guys, if this is useful. Please do subscribe to Chess Boot Camp if you haven't yet subscribed. Do appreciate it. Thank you for watching. See you soon.